Being a YouTuber is the best job I have ever had. It's absolutely fulfilling, enjoyable, creative. Makes you think. It changes the way you think. So I love what I'm doing here, and I have to thank you all for watching the channel and putting the comments on and making YouTube realise that there's a few people here that want to see more, and so they share my stuff, and that's an incredible thing. And it's a wonderful thing to have happened to me in my time of life as well. When I thought my creative pursuits were done, I thought that the music industry was dying, there was no point in doing this anymore, and everything I put my life to was pointless. That was a real, almost like a, a thought that was driving me to almost close to breakdown a few years ago. At the time I was teaching in a college, and I was thinking, why are we teaching these kids to do music for? And then actually the political situation that drips down into the colleges is that they think the same too. Why are we paying for kids to learn to do music? Why? And so this is the backdrop in which being able to set a channel up where I can talk about the music I love, find people who still like, decent plain music that's been performed, and has got improvisation in and experimental and sometimes difficult and sometimes cheesy. That's been an incredible thing. As the channel's grown, I've expanded my output, and that's been quite deliberate. I've pushed the limits of the channel to try and find other areas that people like. And as you become adept at doing YouTubing, you start to realise that controversy and negativity is a lot more potent than positivity. I think some people that watch this channel, especially in the early days, they enjoyed my positivity and love for the music. More recently, the channel has got bigger, brought a wider audience in, but two things have emerged out of that. One is the fact that I've been doing a lot more negative content, and two, that I've moved into the realm of comedy, two things that I thought I would never do. Now, I was just trying to find some content. I was trying to find an album for my subscribers on Bandcamp. So I searched about, and I found I suppose it's a blog by a guy called Fast and Bulbous, which is obviously reference to Captain Beefheart. And I found a quote about me from him on his Facebook that was pretty negative about me. And he was complaining that I don't cover enough new music. I suppose that some of the content's a bit trite, and I pick on stuff I shouldn't. But it was really, he says, why doesn't he do some research and listen to some new music and cover that? And then I found his roundup of 2024, and I'm going to put a link to that blog because it's really cool, and there is a ton of incredible new music, and this guy is really thorough. So if you want to know what's happening in the sort of realms of extreme prog, jazz, experimental music, go and check this guy out. And I'd actually made his 13 favourite YouTubers, although he had a similar criticism against me of not listening to new music. Now, if you've looked at the title of this video, the title of this video is going to be called "I'm Not Doing Politics Anymore." Okay, this is what the announcement is. On this channel today, on Philosophy Sunday, I am telling you I have decided I'm not going to get into politics, right? And I'm also going to try and answer the question that Fast and Bulbous has put here, and I'm going to try and answer it seriously without any comedy overtones or negativity or cracking any jokes. Because these two things are related to me, Often if I go down the political route, you will, or I will get a reply, and this has happened hundreds of times, where someone will put, how would they voice it? Usually, oh yes, they will say something like, "Stick to music, Andy." when I see that, I always find it quite upsetting because it's inferring that, well, you know about music, but you don't know about anything else. You haven't got an idea about this. You should stick in your lane because you're really wrong in what you're saying. And I always think that's a real cheap form of pushback. If somebody said, when you said this particular thing, I didn't agree, then fair enough, and especially if they have some pushback that's specific to that. But just telling you you're ignorant or not well enough read or don't know enough just because you're disagreeing with them on a political point is something that I find very annoying. But if I step back and look at that pushback, right, when they say, why don't you stick to music? There's another part of me that thinks they have a point, because no one's come here to see my political opinions or hear my political opinions, to be more accurate. And then when you look at Fast and Bulbous's pushback, he's saying, why don't you cover new music? So he's looking at a music channel where I'm getting into comedy, negativity, going on about how much I hate Madonna. And he says at one point, why don't you, just talk about the music you love and do some research and go and listen to some new music? And so I want to start here with this video. I want to start here. When you've got a YouTube channel like this, especially when you've managed to get some purchase in the sort of YouTube music community, albeit very small, but I have, because I engage with the comments. Now, a lot of people have said to me, don't engage with the comments, but I like to do it. I like the people who watch this channel. They're very funny. They say great things. I can crack some jokes. There's a lot of humor in those comments, but there's also a ton of negativity. And when people go at you, this is a thing, it's like a genre that now exists. I mean, I'm doing it on the channel. It's this sort of knowing, sarcastic negativity that you have to throw around. It's like trying to be cool type of thing. When you have a channel like this, it's not like I sit here thinking, I'm so right and they're all so wrong and I'm going to do this and, I'm big-headed and arrogant. I have my own pushback for my channel. And I want to start here with that. Number one, every time I venture into the realm of politics, I regret it straight away. Okay? Sometimes when it relates directly to music, that's not so much of a problem. But this really started when I started to deal with identity politics in relation to jazz history. Something I feel very, very strongly about. And I feel I did a good job in presenting that case. But once you're there, suddenly now there's a political aspect to the channel. The other day I did a review of the Brits, and in it I sort of ventured off into discussing the sort of Zelensky-Trump meeting that had been the big thing over the weekend. And the point I was trying to make on that video, which I think is a valid point, is that no one's interested in the Brits. Nobody wants to know about it. Nobody wants to really know about new music. They just don't, right? It doesn't have that cultural force anymore. What people are more interested in is what's going on there on YouTube. They're watching this meeting. We would never have seen this before. And I was trying to make that cultural point. And to answer Fast and Bulbous, I know if you trawl around Bandcamp, you will find loads of incredible experimental albums. You've got to remember, the genie's out the bottle when it comes to new music. You've got like the commercial music scene, which is completely dull and dead. And that's what I refer to as new music. But anybody can make whatever they want and stick it up on Bandcamp, and there's all sorts of experimental, exciting, improvised. There's all sorts of weirdness, including my own channel. I've put all sorts of madness on my own Bandcamp channel, and so I champion it. But I have to be honest, I don't class it as proper music, and this is because of my age. This is because of doing the deal with the devil. In the old days, I had a record deal, and I was trying to get albums out, working in bands and jumping through all those hoops. And when that works, the payoff is great because you reach a big audience, you have a following, you can actually gig, and you can make some money. Well, that's all collapsed. That's collapsed now. Now, anybody could churn out stuff in that way. So when it comes to experimental music and avant-garde music, right, this democratic opportunity that Bandcamp allows, I don't think it's that good, because in the old days, experimental music had to try and survive within the commercial music world. So this morning I put on an album by Terry Riley. I was listening to A Rainbow in Curved Air. Came out in 1968. When you listen to it, it sounds like it could have come out last week. It's incredible. That came out in 1968. Terry Riley was way ahead of anybody, way ahead of Pink Floyd, any progressive rock, the Beatles, whatever. He was just way ahead. He made it with a prototype 8-track recorder. It's improvised. It draws on jazz. You could call it an early fusion album, except it's not. You could call it sort of Indian classical drone electronica, but it's not. It's definitely ambient music, it's definitely minimalist music without a doubt. But I was listening to it and I was thinking, this is absolutely incredible. This album came out in 1968, changed the world, right? And it's a difficult listen. Now you go to Bandcamp 60 years later, or 57 years later, because that album's as old as me. If you get onto Bandcamp, you'll find hundreds and hundreds of albums like that. And you put them on, and they're as great as A Rainbow in Curved Air. They sound fantastic. In fact, with modern digital recording techniques, it's even cleaner and nicer. But what's the point? What is the point? Why are they doing it for? And this is the thing, what I find with new music. When you get into Bandcamp, there's loads of great music. I really love jazz fusion. Everyone knows that's my favourite thing. And Fast and Bulbous has accused me of having the mindset of a sort of jazz snob. Well, I know I am, and I am a jazz snob. That's where a lot of the comedy comes from. I don't think people get the comedy. I'm taking the mickey out of progressive rock. I'm taking the mickey out of progressive rock musicians. I'm taking out the mickey out of jazz fusion musicians. I'm taking the mickey out of me. I know who I am. I know what I do. I know how I think. And I can't get past the fact that deep down, I appreciate music where they can bloody play. And also, because of that, as a youngster, when I knew less and I would start to read critics, didn't quite intellectually understand where they were coming from, and they were championing the Ramones or Joy Division or The Clash, I would sit there as a youngster going, what are they on about? Have they not heard the Mahavishnu or Weather Report? They're way better players. And I now know, I'm sophisticated to know where they're coming from, but I still have that attitude deep down within me, and it's a childish attitude, and I lampoon it. Right, that's where a lot of the comedy comes from. The comedy is ultimately self-deprecating. But to go back to the serious point about new music, because I think it's a valid point, but when I trawl around these albums, I've just been on Fast and Bulbous's blog, and I've been checking out some of the albums. Well, they're all great. I know they're great, but there's just too many of them. There's not big enough audience for any of them. These bands have probably got like 200 people who like them. They're sat there without any sort of quality control. And to be honest, there is nothing truly new there. It's all a reflection by people who aren't skillful enough to be able to understand the creative challenge of trying to do something new. This is something I've thought about all my life, and it's something I try and deal with on this channel. Truly new, truly innovative, truly fresh, truly exciting is really difficult. A really difficult thing to do. When the record companies existed, you had to try and get a deal, especially in the old days before it became conformist. The record companies needed something new. You couldn't just churn out a carbon copy of some other band because people would know it and they wouldn't like it. And the labels were actually pushing their bands. And if they heard another band that sounded like the band that they were pushing, they would sign that and then bury it so that band would have its signature sound. So there was a pressure. And so those of us who worked with record deals were suddenly hit with this at a young age, and we were trying to go, well, what do we do? I just thought I had to sound like the bands I liked. No, you got to do something new. Well, I don't know how to do that. I don't know. What make music? If I make music like, I don't even know if I like it because it might be something I didn't like. And it's such a strange thing. Well, the lack of that awareness of actually doing something creative innovative. And I'm not talking about experimental, even avant-garde, just something that sounds fresh, right? I don't hear it in the new music. I don't at all. Now, where do we go with this? Because I really want to deal with this, because there's so many aspects to it. I like bands that are accessible, but also exciting and have a touch of the avant-garde. I like a mixture of the whole thing. I have listened to all sorts of very, very experimental music over the years, and I can do that, and I've got nothing against it. But if I'm going to get into a band, I want a band that's created its own universe almost. So I've tried over the last year or so to actually cover new music on the channel. I've tried to do it more. And the Fast and Bulbous guy has acknowledged this, and he said this is why I've decided to put Andy in the top 13 music YouTubers of this year, because I have been covering more new music. I've bought the albums, I've stuck them in the car, and I've found that they have run out of listening energy very quickly. I can hear music, like I can buy an album and I love it, and I put it in the car, listen to it twice, and then when I come to put it on the third time, I go, I've heard that now, I don't need to hear that again. There's no depth. But there are bands out there at the moment that do that for me, and I am searching for them. Louis Cole, I think, is a genius. I think his stuff's wonderful. And again, it's that mixture of accessibility with the sort of avant-garde. I absolutely love Henge. I think Henge are a fantastic band. And the sense of fun they have, which is also something that Louis Cole has. I like music that's funny. This is why I liked Frank Zappa when I was a kid. I also like music that's very serious and spiritual as well. But I think I find that music sort of funny as well. So it's a funny thing, this is. But I absolutely love Henge. But I just want to say to Fast and Bulbous that last night I'm searching through new bands, and I came across a band that I absolutely loved. I had no criticism of them whatsoever. They just got me excited as soon as I heard them. And it was a band called Descartes à Kant, or DAK. Absolutely incredible stuff. And I was actually on Bandcamp this morning trying to find their page, and I did it because this happened. You know, I was searching around for stuff, searching around on my Bandcamp for an album that I'd made that I can't find because I wanted to give it to my subscribers. And as I was going around Bandcamp, I was listening to stuff and trying to find the Descartes à Kant. So this is the first thing. I could come on here and do a review of that album, but I don't know much about it, right? But I could do that. And I could put a lot of effort in. It would require effort. And Fast and Bulbous is correct in this, in that it does require you to sit and research. You know, if you're going to do a decent review of an album, you have to have it for the week and listen to it a lot. And then put your thoughts in order. You've got to do some research because you don't know any of the context around the band. Whereas if I was talking about a Weather Report album, I know the context inside out. I've been listening to the album for 20, 30 years, right? So you have to put a lot of work in. And he's right, you know, it's worth putting that work in. But the major problem is when I put that review up, nobody will watch it. Nobody will be interested. It will be an absolutely waste of my time. And on top of that, it will cut into me trying to think up videos which will actually get the views, because as much as this seems like I'm being a populist or a commercialist, if the views aren't there, the whole thing's absolutely pointless. And I think this is something that is deep in the heart of me, right deep down. Right, I love avant-garde music, I like experimental music, I like jazz rock fusion, I like improvised music, free jazz, I like prog, all this weird stuff that has come onto this channel. But I like it to be popular. And so when I go to Bandcamp, I will put a band on and I'll listen to it and go, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, that sounds like, oh, I like that, that's pretty cool, yeah. But I'm not bothered. Because it's not correct. There's a cultural aspect to this. Now, actually, when I get accused of being a jazz snob, the true jazz snob doesn't get this. A true jazz snob doesn't understand lyrics. They don't understand what the meaning of the song's about. And they don't understand the cultural impact of the music. They don't think about that at all. They think it's good that only 15 people are listening to it. It's like a badge of honour because it's elitist. I haven't had that at all. I spent, a few years of my life trying to make dance music, trying to make house music. Nobody even knows who the band is. It's just trying to get a groove going. So when a DJ drops your track in a club, that people want to carry on dancing to it. I've had that experience as well. And so there's a whole bunch of issues with me covering new music on the channel. Now, I'm going to make a little confession because I think about this stuff all the time. My point is when I read Fast and Bulbous's pushback, and the fact that he has been quite kind and said some positive things about me, although he does call me that annoying drummer, that the only thing I've actually ever done is play for Robert Plant. That's how he starts his talk about me. Well, I think that's a bit rotten, but it is funny. It is funny. If I was lampooning myself, that is where I would start straight off. So I understand where he's coming from, and he's in the same game. He's in the same game as me. But the point I'm trying to get across to him is I am thinking about this stuff and I'm aware of the criticisms. So before I was aware of his pushback, this week I decided to review the new Henge album. And I realised if I was to do a review of the new Henge album, I listened to the album 3 times, I read up about it. That was about as much time as I could afford on it. 3 listens. I think I could do a review now. And then I thought, what's the point? No one's going to click on it at all. Unless you're a Henge fan, no one will click on it. And it's not like Henge, who have contacted me about doing a review. It's not like they want just the existing fans. They want me to get a new audience for them. That's the job. That would be the ultimate thing for my channels to have because things like Rick Beato and the Needle Drop, they do have that power. The views are so huge that if you're a new band, you can get a review on there. It's going to sell some product for you. And this is the way the record industry works. And you will sell actual product. You will sell vinyl albums and CDs if that happens. And that's the hope for the industry. YouTubers, influencers, we're the hope of the industry. I'm trying to get my channel to that point. So I'm sat there thinking about Henge, and I think, well, what I'll do is I'm going to do something that will draw the audience in and take them on a journey, and I'm going to have the review like a stealth review. Okay, so I thought what I'll do is I will do the 10 most cosmic bands, or the 10 bands from outer space, right? And I created that list, had to do all the research. I don't think I actually got the list right. I think there's a couple of bands I missed off, and there's a couple of bands I wish I hadn't put on. But that's the nature of this game, I've got them out of time. But there's no problem with that, because if it's a really popular video, I'll do it again in a couple of years' time, and I'll get it right the second time. Anyway, so I've done this thing. It looks like a normal top 10 video. Now, I know that the top 10 most cosmic bands won't do ridiculous views, but I also know it will do more reviews than the normal, just a review of an album will do. And so the first half, because you've got to understand how YouTube works, someone will click on a YouTube thing because they've seen the thumbnail and the title. So they see that and they click on, and they want to know that it's about that. They want to know that you're delivering that. Now, sometimes I don't, but I know I'm going to lose the viewers, and I do that deliberately. But if you really want the views, you've got to hit them hard right at the start. So you're going to go, these are the 10 greatest bass players of all time. This is the video, so you'll notice I'll go, this video's called the 10 greatest bass players all the time, and then I say I'm going to go through and rank the 10 bass. So they go, yeah, I've come to the right place. He's ranking bass players. This is what I wanted. Once you've ranked the bass players and you get into it, people's interests will go. They'll go, oh yeah, I've because a lot of it's just nosiness. So they've clicked on it. They might even zip to number 1. That's done. At that point, you've got to take them on a journey. You've got to give them something that they didn't expect. This is a trick that I realised on YouTube. So halfway through this video, and this video will have come out, I hope, by the time this one comes out. So I won't be spoiling anything. But halfway through the video, I turn to the camera and I say, I had quite a strange thing happen to me the other day. It was like like a close encounter type of thing. And then I start to tell the story. I know they think I'm just going into one of my random stories, but actually at this point the whole screen wobbles and you go into a little bit of a sort of dramatic film of me, getting a package and it contains something, and eventually sort of teleported into my hands is the Henge album. And at this point, the review happens. So I'm hoping that people are going, what the hell's this about? And then when I go into the Henge review, I tried to do more than just a review. I didn't just say whether it's good or bad. I tried to pull out something that makes it relevant to the idea of cosmic music. Why would a band claim that they have come from another planet? Well, we know there's a precedent for that in Sun Ra. So I wanted to pull all those things together. When I'd finished it, it was an hour-long video, and it took a long time to make because there was like my dodgy special effects. I'm not a video editor. I'm learning it. But I was really pleased with what I've done because I thought this is a great video on cosmic music, and it has the Henge review as part of that. And hopefully some people who have checked out the Sun Ra on the thumbnail or seen the Residents, and I spoke about the Residents quite a bit. I love the Residents. I know a little bit about them. I can't just busk a whole hour-long video on them because I don't know enough. But I am researching into the Residents, and I do like them, and I wanted to mention them on the channel. I know there'll be Residents fans out there, so they'll check it. So what I'm trying to explain to Fast and Bulbous is, I am self-critical. I'm thinking about this stuff all the time, and I am trying to create a place where I could just review new music. Can you imagine I got to a point where people come to my channel just to check out the new music that I like, based on the fact that they know that they like the same sort of bands as I like. That's a possibility, but it's not there at the moment, right? But if I got to that point, all I would have to do for a living is have a CD arrive. I would do one review a day. So I'd put that CD on, listen to the new music. I'd get all my new music for free. I'd listen to it, make some notes, and then I'd go in and review it. Like Fantano, who does the needle drop. His videos are like so much more less intensive than mine. He has a camera and he talks into the camera. Now I'm doing this right now on this one, but I have other videos that are really involved, really involved, right? So I am trying to get there, okay? And so every time I'm doing something where I'm bashing Bruce Springsteen, and it's obviously a joke. Now, do I like Bruce Springsteen? No, I don't. When I criticize someone, it's because I just don't like them. I genuinely don't like Velvet Underground. I genuinely don't like the Ramones. I genuinely don't like Bruce Springsteen or Van Morrison. I don't like them, right? But I see my dislikes as being completely subjective, whereas my likes, I try and focus on the objective part of that. So if I'm saying a video on the Beatles, who I love, I'm going to be trying to explore why everyone loves the Beatles, right? But loads of people like Bruce Springsteen, so if I'm going for somebody that everyone's heard of, it's obvious there's a load of people who like it, so I'm sort of in the wrong in a way. And so I approach it with this sort of, I'm a jazz snob, but I'm also a child. And you can see the way I'm talking about them. You can see the way I'm picking on them. I mean, I recently did a video where I criticised Mick Hucknall, and the vast majority of that criticism was about the colour of his bogies. I don't even know the colour of his bogies. I have to tell you this now, right? I don't actually know what colour bogies he's got. And if you think I do, then you're a fool, right? And these people are out there, right? These people are out there. It's quite incredible. There is a video I did where it was the 10 most overrated albums as voted by my patrons. And they voted for Out of the Blue by ELO. Now, I don't think that's an overrated album. I think it's a brilliant album. I think there's a strong argument. It's one of the greatest double albums in music history. It's better than Physical Graffiti in terms of consistency. It's up there with Songs in the Key of Life. That's my actual opinion, right? But on the video, I sit down with my mate Rob Grocott, who's Kelly Grocut's son, Kelly Grocott was his dad. And I start to go in and I start to criticise it to Rob. And then Rob acted getting upset, and I was quite offensive to him. But it was a joke. It was the uncomfortableness of me thinking I could talk to my friend in that way, but actually he's deeply upset, right? And it's quite black humour, because obviously Rob's dad died quite young, and it did actually really effect, Rob, but he's channeling this in the video. This is something I do that I know other music YouTubers don't do at all. But one guy came on the other day and he said it's really bad how you treated your friend. And I thought, my God, they think it's real. So you got to understand that's another aspect of it. Now, we get to the meat and potatoes of this video now, because the one thing which I really agree on is if someone comes to see my opinion, Bruce Springsteen or Van Morrison or the Mahavishnu Orchestra or Yes or Genesis, that's what they're coming for. If I hate something, that's what they're coming for. If I'm talking about jazz history and I think, that the lens of identity politics is actually swaying our view, so we don't actually know the truth of what actually happened, I think that's relevant. But there's a certain point where you could go too far. And when I venture into the full realm of politics and I leave the music behind, it's absolutely not on. I think it's wrong, and this is what I've come on to say. This is one criticism that I totally think is valid, and I'm not going to be doing it anymore. You might get a little of identity politics bashing, but that's just, if you are pro identity politics, just say, well, he's an old middle-aged bloke with grey hair, and that he's lampooning those sort of values, because that sort of is in there. But I would say that politics and culture are more interesting to me than music is at the moment. Another thing Fast and Bulbous said that, go and do the research, talk about the music you love. I am not a music fan who has set up a YouTube because I've got a billion albums sat behind me and I've listened to everything and buy everything and have some sort of, unlimited money funds that I can buy T-shirts and albums without ever going bankrupt. I can't do that. I'm a musician. That's where I'm coming from. And I'm trying to put across the counterintuitive view that musicians have of being on the other side of it, okay? Most musicians that play in a genre, by the time they get to 40 or 50 and they're in that genre, they hate that genre. There's a brilliant interview with, what's his name? Is it Steve Jones, the guitarist with the Sex Pistols? And they're talking about punk, and he's saying how great it was, and how he enjoyed it. It was a really brilliant, amazing scene. And then the interviewer goes, do you listen to punk now? And he goes, oh, God, good God, no. And he says, who do you listen to? He goes, oh, well, I'm a big fan of Steely Dan. Right, that's how much people change as they get older. I try and actually show that on the channel. I try and get into these. I'm aware of these cultural things. I'm aware that the music that we all love is loved by us, and we're all quite old. There's young kids getting into it now. That would be incredible if young kids suddenly discovered the Mahavishnu Orchestra and it became huge. I would be championing that. But on the whole, this is a generational thing, and we're dying off, and the music will die and it'll be gone. And then once it's gone, hopefully my YouTube channel will still be there, and someone might find it, sort of music archaeologists, and go, who is this gentle giant of which this person speaks? And that's how I see this, right? That's what I'm doing here. But I am not actually that interested in music in that way, especially not new music. And I have tried, my God, I have tried, right? I have spent 2 or 3 hours every single night for about a year listening to all sorts of different new music, getting music suggested to me, all sorts of things. And I came out, this is where my attitude is, right? It's not that there isn't loads of good stuff around, it's just the context is so different, all right? But my interests are in politics, culture, and I think a lot of people's are of our age, because we're looking at things and it's like, it seems like chaos, doesn't it? Now, I have a little piece of the jigsaw puzzle, I think, because I've studied art, because I've studied film and media and music for like 40 years, and some of the philosophies underlying that, and looked at creativity and how that works. I believe that there is some sort of cultural shift happening at the moment. So a cultural shift is where the vast majority of people buy into one idea or one sort of view of the world. And we're normally talking about Western liberal democracy. So us here in the West, in the 1950s, we saw the world in one way. And then we went through this really painful shift in the 1960s. And then we come out thinking another way. And a lot of the values that came out of the 1960s, we have held on to as being like almost like objectively moral and true. And what's happening at the moment is those are coming crashing down because we're going through a cultural shift. Now, a cultural shift could be that the sort of peace and harmony that existed in that period, because the music and the freedom of expression and all that type of thing actually mopped up in a cathartic way. It could be without that, we do return to what most of human history has been, which is all-out war, famine, destruction, tribalism. I don't want that to happen, you see. So I'm pushing against tribalism. And I feel that the noble values of the 1960s have become tribal now. That is where my interest lies. So I do want to bring my knowledge as a creative person. And the thing about being a creative person is, as myself, is now I'm at this age, and being such a nationalist, as many people are probably aware I am, not an ethno-nationalist, but really believing that I love my country, I love Britain. I'm sat here talking to you, I'm looking out across a beautiful sunny park, there's trees, it's old houses, brick-built houses, and there's a little garden centre, and someone's out there tending to the flowers, at the moment. And I love that. That's what I call the English aesthetic. So I love that. And but on the other side, because I love that, at heart, in my heart, I'm a conservative. I'm the sort of person who wants to hold on to what has been. That's what my channel is. Think about it. That's why I don't cover new music. I'm much more interested in uncovering obscure music that you haven't heard from a long time ago. And I've got this. Have we got it here? This is an album I will be covering at some point, and nobody will get the views, but this is an album here. I'll keep putting it up. It's by a band called Max, and it's called Beyond Road, and it's a re-release of a very obscure sort of jazz fusion album from, I think, 1974. And the guy that's behind this, I've actually got his email, and if he's watching the channel, I am going to email you at some point. I am really busy, and I've got to try and think. If I know we could spend a lot of time doing this, and when that video comes up, no one will watch it. So I have to try and think of a context I can put that in. I'm just trying to show you that I am trying to do this stuff. I'm a conservative, except when it comes to creativity and art. I think that creativity and art should be forward-thinking. It should be revolutionary. I think it's the best place for revolutionary ideas to exist. I think revolutions in politics are terrible. They always end in genocide. And there's a certain section of society that they believe that everything will be solved by pushing towards a revolution, and they don't care how it happens. They just want a revolution. And I don't like that either, you see. So I am a conservative, but to be revolutionary in your art is so important. And to be truly revolutionary means being able to say stuff that people don't like, that is upsetting. And I know I have been trying to do this on this channel, but I think it's just a bit too much. So you won't get it on this channel anymore. But what I have done is I have set up a separate channel to discuss this fully. If it becomes toxic there, that channel will go. But I do need to do this, I think. I do need to get this out of my system, because I don't make art and music and be creative because I've got something to say. I do it because I'm compelled to do it. I literally will wake up in the morning and I want to express myself about something. And when I was young, it was very airy-fairy. But now I'm older. When I watch that Zelensky-Trump interview and I see the pushback against it, especially here in the UK, I know I'm getting into this, but I'm going to try and explain it. So I've just said I'm not going to do it, and now I'm going to do it. All I wanted to do was go back to the bands we like, go back to John Lennon and the Beatles. Remember what they said? We do need to give peace a chance. Just those of you say, no, we got to fight. Just look into your heart to go, no, it's worth giving peace a chance. That I have to express in some sort of way. Now, maybe 20 years ago, I would have gone into my studio and made a record, and nobody could have told that was what was pushing the music, that feeling, but that's what was in there, right? No lyrics, just music that expressed how I felt. Now you can be far more direct. You can switch a camera on and talk into the camera like this. I'm a jazz musician at heart. I've learnt to. It's all right, my cat's trying to. She's trying to get in or out. Hang on, I'm going to go and get my cat. Hang on. Hello. You do know I'm talking to all the YouTube people here. Here's my cat. Hello, you all right? It's a very cuddly cat, this one is. And this will hopefully make up for being a right-wing racist. I like the pussycats, you see. Can you see them all? She's having a look at you. So I think with the addition of the cat, we are near the end of this video, but I just want to make the point that I do have a politics channel. If you are one of the ones who enjoy that stuff, then you can get just it, you know, in bucket loads. And the link, of course, is down below in the link, you know, in the description of this video. But yeah, that's all right, isn't it? What do you think, pussycat? Are you having a look out the window? It's quite interesting, isn't it, out there? They can't see what you're looking at. It's weird. But what I do enjoy about this, and I hope Fast and Bulbous realises this, that there's a little part of me that I quite like the fact that there's quite a few people now watching a cat looking out at a tree because there's some birds in it and a few squirrels. Is there some squirrels over there, Bus? Yeah, can you see them? What would you like to do to those squirrels? You'd like to kill them, wouldn't you? You see, that's what the way world is. Lovely little pussycat, really cute. But in her mind is death and destruction. And with that is the great dialectic. And I'm going to keep talking about that here on a Sunday. On a Sunday, Puss. On Philosophy Sunday. That's what I'm going to be doing, yeah. That's what we'll do, yeah. Oh, I'm going to get some likes on this. I know it. You don't want me to get rid of her, do you? No. She's too lovely, aren't you? She's a right cuddly little one, this is. Most cats don't like being held like this, but this one does. She likes to be held. She likes to be able to have a look around. Don't you, Puss? So, anyway, that's Lola the cat. Lovely thing she is. I do love her so much. Hopefully, all those lefties will be going, oh, Andy can't be quite that bad. I know he said there was no such thing as black music, but he does like cats. Now, I don't know. I can't judge it, you know. I mean, Hitler liked animals, didn't he? He liked animals, but that doesn't make him a good person. It doesn't make Andy a good person just because he owns a cat, and the cat, you know, will sit on his lap, you know. Cat doesn't know what he's like. Cat doesn't know he's a right-wing thug. Doesn't realise it, does he? Does she? Sorry, I've misgendered the cat. I shouldn't be doing that. Anyway, you're still going to get a bit of that every now and then. Oh, look at it. I don't know if you've noticed, I've... Pussycat, I'm trying to do something here. There's no point in you doing this. What are you doing? You're just trying to get attention to show off. Where are you? Right, I'll have to look through her legs now. There you are. Right. Oh no, I'm at the back. I'm at the not so nice end now. I set this up. I thought I'm going to come on here, be really serious. Philosophy Sunday. I'm going to be really serious, not all trite. You know, Fast and Bulbous will go, this is what we like more. Andy being more serious and talking about music and deal with things, not just being silly and not talking about new music. And yet, so what I did is I set the dark. I thought I'm going to make it really, really dark. You know, so it's proper. Because when I'm serious, I go like Colonel Kurtz in Got you right in the way. Just if you were stood there, I could look through the bottom bit here. Stop. Get your feet out the way. Right, where are you? It's so dark. Oh, now look what you've done.